Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the May 10th school committee meeting. First, outside the agenda, Mrs. Sommer is going to introduce her play class.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks for playing along. Thanks for playing along. Holy moly.
That's the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to see the Burger Town the Musical on Friday and Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Tickets are $7, and we hope you see it.
See you there.
Was that sneak
Thank you very much. How long it takes to get here?
Wow.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Looking forward to it. It's outstanding.
All right. First order of business is to approve the regular meeting minutes of April 12th.
Make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of April 12th, 2017.
A second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And now we'll move on to student recognition awards.
Josh.
Good evening, everyone. Grade 5 team has chosen Miss Avery LePen as their final student of the month for the 2016-17 school year. Avery is a hard-working student who always goes above and beyond in each of her subjects. During class, Avery offers thoughtful responses to her questions. She is a wonderful mathematical thinker, but her favorite subjects are science and art. Avery is willing to lend a hand and smile to anybody in need of help. She's an effective leader when called upon and a good songwriter, too. Outside of school, Avery loves to play soccer by participating in the two teams as a goalie, the Emerald Tsunamis in town and the Abbey Villa Soccer Club, which travels throughout Massachusetts. Another love is cooking, watching cooking shows, and especially baking with her grandmother. She also enjoys helping her mother and father with anything they need and playing Xbox with her brother Dylan. When asked the secret to her success in this school year, Avery said that one, she always tries to focus and pay attention, no matter what distractions might be happening. I can't believe there are any distractions in 5th grade this year. I can't believe it. She's always willing to attempt something, even if it's difficult. And 3, she really likes all of her teachers. The grade 5 team is proud to have Avery as their newest student of the month. Congratulations.
So, hi Avery, how are you?
Good.
I'll let the rest of the committee ask the questions, but I do have one question for you. How was the 111? The 111? Your favorite restaurant?
Oh, really?
I had the privilege of hearing all about this. Her uncle informed me that she gets good grades and he gets a meal at the 111. So he was very pleased.
Awesome. Very nice.
Anybody else?
Mr. Walker.
Ladies first.
All right, thank you. Hi, Amy.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I have to say, most of the time when we get 5th grade students in here, they say that their favorite subject is math. So to hear science and art was something different. Miss Peppy, we still love you though. So in science, what kind of things are you doing in science this year and what do you like about it?
Right now we're doing simple machines.
Okay.
We're working on a project which we have to make a simple machine. We learned electricity, light and sound, magnets, and lots of other,
Lots of topics this year, huh?
yeah.
Yeah,
Lots of
good.
other things.
And you like to cook?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. What do you like to cook?
Well, I like baking with my Nana.
Okay, so what can I'll put an order in with Mom sometime? Yeah? Okay. I'm gonna let Mr. Ponticelli ask you some questions, okay? All right.
Miss Breen stole my thunder about the cooking question, because that just piqued my interest right away. But the idea that Mr. Mahar said that you can zone out the distractions, and that's such a great skill. We made the joke about there not being distractions in fifth grade. Of course there are. But knowing that, that is a skill, and it's not a skill that comes easy to a lot of people. So it's really great that he was able to pick that out about you, and your teachers picked that out about you, because that's tremendous. You're a great student, so I congratulate you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Good job, Avery. Mr. Shaw's gonna go too.
Well, I get excited when I heard that you were a soccer goalie for 2 teams. Soccer goalie is a tough position because you're on the spotlight. Who's your favorite female soccer goalie? Have you ever?
I only watch Hoso, and I really like her performance.
I figured you'd say Hope Solo. She was a star.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations,
Thank you.
and keep up the good work.
Congratulations, Ed.
Nice job.
Good evening. I'd like to invite up our middle school student of the month, Miss Allison Johnson. And this is a testimony written by Mrs. Soma, who was a little too shy to be here tonight.
That's not a word I've ever heard used with Carolyn.
The term community service is used a lot in schools today, especially in our school. We have many students who do wonderful things for others. One of the students who's an exceptional example in the area of community service is 8th grader Allison Johnson. During the course of the semester, Allison has offered to do anything and everything to assist in the theater program. No job is too large or too small. Allison is there to help. She has served as a liaison to the middle school production of The Wizard of Oz. No one knew the difficult behind-the-scenes work needed to make sure that the middle school program in the day could coexist with evening rehearsals for The Wizard of Oz at night, and Allison helped to see that this could occur. We are so grateful. In addition, Allison trained to do lights and sound and assisted the chorus teacher and Mr. Fournier whenever there were school assemblies. We are very impressed with this young woman. She is a wonderful example of her family's values. I do want to say, under the category of small world, that I had the distinct honor of working with her grandfather, Mr. Mattis, when I was an assistant principal, and he was a math teacher for many years. So she comes from a family of strong education, and she's a wonderful young lady. Allison never does anything to impress others or to be rewards. She does this to serve others. She's a credit to West Boylston Middle High School, her parents, and her family. Congratulations on being the Middle School Student of the Month for May.
Congratulations, Allison. Mrs. Rain, would you like to go first?
Would, and I have to say, I was involved with the Wizard of Oz production, and Allison was a tremendous help to all of us who were there trying to corral 50 middle schoolers and take care of things. She was definitely a leader in that, and when we had some technical problems, she was always willing to help us solve them, so she was a huge asset to that production. So 8th grade, that doesn't seem possible at all. So what was your favorite part of this year, and what are you looking forward to for next year?
Well, my favorite part of this year is probably what we're learning in science and social studies.
Good. And are you looking forward to, you're going to moving up to the high school?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to science next year.
Are you thinking about something maybe science related for?
Not as of right now.
Not right now? Okay, good. What kind of topics in science are you working on that are interesting?
Well, right now we're reviewing for the past 3 years of science for science podcasts. So
Good job. It's nice that we're hearing so much about science tonight. I like it. Mr. Ponticelli?
Allison, congratulations first and foremost. It's awesome. And the wonderful words that Mrs. Soma had to say about you. I mean, it's clear that you're a very selfless young lady. You know, you're there to help others, working behind the scenes. And I too got to see The Wizard of Oz. It was awesome. My whole family loved it. It's great. So you're in 8th grade, about to make that step to high school. Do you have any words of wisdom for some of the young kids coming over from Major Edwards, coming to the middle school, to the big time?
Well, you get a lot of freedom from elementary school to here. I would say that it could be a little intimidating, but it gets better throughout the year. You get to learn schedules. You don't have the same schedule as elementary school. You have different blocks. Then you have a D period, which goes down the schedule, which rotates.
Oh, cool.
So it's easy to remember about like a month or two into school, or probably 6th grade.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's easy.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Allison. Congratulations.
Good job,
Great
Allison.
job.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite up our high school Student of the Month recipient, Ms. Quinn Bolak. Quinn's teachers have made the following points about her. Quinn is hardworking and responsible and holds herself to very high standards with a strong sense of responsibility. She never asks for exceptions or extensions, even when they are offered. She's even hesitant to accept them and makes her goal to always meet the initial deadline anyway. Because of her honesty, her drive, her sense of accountability, her strong focus on her academics, she is well deserving of this honor. Quinn is a tremendous citizen, friend, and classmate, always willing to help others and has a positive outlook. She is active in school council, in athletics, and is a leader around the school. She exemplifies the qualities of the ideal West Boylston student who holds herself accountable in all situations. Congratulations, Quinn.
Congratulations, Quinn. I don't know if I missed it or not. What grade were you in? 11th. Excellent. So, going into your senior year, do you have any particular colleges in mind for the future?
I have toured Northeastern and UMass Amherst. I really liked Northeastern, but it's a very hard school to get into. I've also looked into Quinnipiac.
Nice.
Yay!
I wouldn't let Northeastern, intimidate you, but according to what Mr. Fournier said, I think you have an excellent chance of getting there. Anybody else have any questions?
I'll give you one guess as to where Mr. Shaw went to school. What are you thinking about going into, Quinn?
I want to go into the medical field. I'm not exactly sure what. Most likely like a doctor of some sort.
Good for you. And so you're going into senior year. What are you looking forward to about next year as we kind of wind down here in junior year?
Probably looking forward to graduating.
Yeah? You're just going right to the end, huh?
Yeah.
It comes quick. And I would be willing to bet if you asked anybody behind you if they could come back here right now, they would probably say yes in a heartbeat. So don't wish it away too fast, okay? All right. Mr. Ponticelli.
Enjoy it while you can, right, because it flies by. Mr. Fournier had mentioned you're on school council. What are some of the things you do for school council?
Well, I'm actually on the executive board. I'm a historian. So
really?
we put on different events for the school. Our biggest one is probably Spirit Week and Homecoming. We also do things like blood drives and other like Thanksgiving baskets and stuff like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Report to school committee.
Yeah, right, and report to the school committee, right. The last question I want to ask you is similar to the one that I asked Allison. How about students making the switch, making the transition from middle school to the high school? You've done it successfully. Any tips?
Well, it's definitely very hard. But I think I enjoyed high school a lot more than middle school. We had more opportunities, like pick our own classes, and I would advise kids to take every opportunity they have.
Awesome, awesome.
Great.
Congratulations, Quinn.
Congratulations.
Quinn.
All right, and next we'll have our Student Advisory Council update.
All right, so not much is happening right now. Everything's pretty much winding down. But we have the In It to End It Dance-a-thon was on April 28th. And the founder of 1540, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's an organization that prevents cancer. They actually came, so that was really cool. I got to meet them. So the National Art Honor Society has their induction on May 23rd, and we just finished our plates from Clay Time, so those will be on auction. The National Honor Society just inducted the new officers for the next year. Katie Daigle is the president. Quinn Bullock, who just left, is the vice president. Caitlin Lindsay is the secretary. Kat Himmelberger is the fundraising coordinator. And Molly Krause and Kayla Mead are junior officers. The Tri-M Music Society has their induction and the spring concert on May 25th. And the sports teams are all doing pretty well right now. I know that track has their league meet on next Tuesday. So I think that some of them qualify for districts, and then if they do well in that, they'll qualify for state. So I know they have a couple strong kids on the team this year. So, and then graduation is June 3rd, and prom is May 19th. So, and the play is this weekend, as you just heard, Friday and Saturday. So,
Graduation's the 3rd, not the 2nd.
Second, I think.
is it the second?
It's the first Friday.
It's the
It's
second.
Friday.
Not the third.
Just plan to have a whole weekend.
No.
Yeah. So that's a wrap.
All right. Thanks. Anybody else have any questions? No.
Here.
Finish your first duty for the night.
Did the boys baseball win today?
Boys
Did
baseball win.
did the varsity win today over at the Art Tribals?
I have no idea. I know that the JV did not win.
Why?
No,
I knew that too.
lost 9-2,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Not sure yet.
Okay.
Knowing the way those games tend to go, they're probably in the 15th inning.
Exactly.
I know that baseball's doing pretty well this year.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to remind everybody that these meetings are being filmed and also televised on local access. So I'd like to thank the camera crew and also Mrs. Johnson for taking care of our minutes. And now we can move on to the highlight on schools, which is the Haiti trip report.
We are really thrilled to bring you this presentation. I just want to say a word before they step up. You voted to allow a group of students from West Boylston and a couple of their teachers to travel to Haiti to do mission work and build a house for some folks associated with Be Like Brit. And I'm just so happy that you're all able to here to tell us about that. And I'm just going to let them take it away. But I couldn't go without thanking you for allowing them to go. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We do have some slides to present to you, so we would like to, we could ask to present in front of the slide.
Let's see how it goes.
You gonna sing?
Yeah.
Take care of that.
I'm not tall enough.
Who's got Rick?
Oh, yeah, you should be able to go right in front and have it turn.
You got it.
Earlier. Should have used that earlier.
You can use this mic too, yeah.
I'll take it.
No. Dr. Belcher. Before you.
Huh?
Someone else is going to talk this time. It's going to be weird. We did the same presentation for the school. Well, Jason did the same presentation for the school.
Yes.
He had a lot to say.
to do it again.
No,
I see
Isn't
it.
it?
I see it. It's like the 4th time we went to set this up today. Right here.
They lost 5-4 in the bottom of the 11th inning.
Oh, you're right. I have to get extras.
Wow.
That's twice in a row.
All right. First of all, thank you very much, school committee, for allowing us this trip. I know that way back in October, I wasn't even here. I know Elizabeth and Jason was representing us here when we presented the idea. That was a long time ago, and we've had quite a journey through it, culminating in an outstanding trip in the first week of April. We could not have done it without your support and the support of the community. As you will hear from the themes that come from this trip, these are themes that permeate our school. Mr. Fournier is a great leader here, and he's certainly putting forward this idea of leadership and community service as important things in our school. We see this, or I see this trip as just an element of that. So first thing we'd like to do is show you a series of slides. Ms. Crozier and I thank the students for their hard work, their thoughtful work, for what they've done. I personally thank Ms. Crozier for stepping in when my knee went out in Haiti and helped and continued the trip without a hitch. The people at Be Like Brit were outstanding in their support also. So I am thankful, grateful for that piece. I had traveled far and wide doing a lot of fundraising, so I felt that I had my fill of the trip. I didn't get shortchanged by much, but we certainly we had a great. I mean, the time that I was there, I had a great time, and their feet were on the ground by the time I left, and I felt very comfortable with what they've done. So, without ado, would you like to go across, introduce yourselves?
I'm Elizabeth.
I'm Matt.
I'm Jason.
I'm Hannah.
All right, so the kids are just going to present about the major 3 topics that they kind of wanted to discuss. So they're going to talk about building the house, the orphanage, and the kids at Be Like Brit, and then they're going to finish out with talking about the cultural experiences they learned about, and then discuss their impact with you guys. So it's just going to be kind of an open forum, and they're going to just kind of discuss as they see fit, and you guys can ask questions at the end.
All right, so our first topic is about building the house, which is the whole purpose that we went down there. So the family that we built for, her name was Madame Idez, and she worked for Be Like Brit. She had been on the list for a house for 3 years, and she had 6 children that had never slept under the same roof. So handing them the key at the end of the week was definitely like super rewarding.
Sure. So for about 4 hours a day from Monday to Friday, we worked. Saturday also was like a christening sort of day where we gave them good wishes and that sort of thing. So on the first day, what we really did is we got this foundation here, and we cleared it out. On the second and third days, we poured in concrete. Super hard, yes. It was arduous. And so first we set the posts here, filled them with concrete, and made us a smooth floor after that. And then after that, it was simply a process of actually putting the walls up in the house. So yeah, that's concrete day right there. Stuff's not light.
To go off concrete day, they were the hardest days because the concrete wasn't mixed. You had to mix it with your hands, with the shovels and water. So you had to physically get in there with the shovel, mix it around, and it's heavy. And then it wasn't a very easy system. So we had 2 people shoveling. Me and Mr. Lazar were doing it the first day, and then me and Matt Costello and Riley, they aren't here, but they probably would be if they had an option. We were shoveling in 90, 100 degree weather at least, so it was really hard. And then they would carry heavy buckets, and it wasn't like close to it. It was on the street, so we had to walk at least 15 feet to get the concrete to the foundation. So it was a hike just to do that alone. And then we had a lot of help from the Haitian workers, and they were very nice. So I wanted to add that in.
So on the last day, like what Matt said, is the day that we were able to give the family all the food that they would have it would help them for a month.
We also gave them a pregnant goat, which is kind of like their bank system there. So anytime that they were ever really close to needing a lot of money, they were able to like trade in the goat for food or something valuable. And so it was just a very emotional experience for us, just as much as it was for them. And we were all very happy that we were able to help them, and they were all happy that they got the help that they needed.
So, like Matt was saying, we had the hammering, which was like we had to hammer all the posts together, and then we had to hammer all the walls in, and then we had to hammer just everything was like hammering, and we were all so bad at it. And like it was
Not me.
No, you were pretty bad. I know it took me like 2 days just to be able to not bend the nail when I was hammering it in. So, and it's super important that like every nail that we used was like actually used, because every research that they have there is super important that it's actually beneficial. And so the Haitian workers there were so patient with us, and it was so obvious that we were slowing them down. It probably would have taken them 2 days to build the house, but they were so happy to be there with us. And Frankie, who's in that picture in the hat, he was our Haitian advisor that went with us. And he always told us that they were just as excited as we were to like learn from us and learn English from us. I mean, these people had never had an education, so we were like their school. So it was really cool. And also we got to know the kids that were at the work site. They did not live at the Be Like Brit orphanage, so we would give them clean water that we brought to the work site, and like I know I gave them my food, or we would give them lollipops. And even though there was a language barrier, it didn't feel like there was one. I felt so connected to the kids, and this was, that's Katie, and her name's Sheena, and they were like best friends the whole week. So it was super cool to have that relationship too. So anyway.
Talk about the size of the house.
The size of the house was actually bigger than we ever usually build. So we usually build one room. We built the 2-room. So it was really big compared to the most of the homes that they built.
Would you say like this area is the size of the whole thing?
Yeah, I would say like from table to
yes, 6 children. We made them 2 big beds too. So.
Yeah. And that still wasn't enough, but they were grateful for it. And I know that we changed their life, but they also changed our life in a big way as well. And it's just so hard to look back on it. I don't know. I just want to be there again.
How many homes has Be Like Brit built?
73 or 6. One between that range.
So far?
So far.
Well, I know they've built like 3 since we were there, and I know they had 75 when we were there, so it's like probably like every week.
So when you're on top of the Be Like Brit home and you look down into the Grand Guave area, you can see the blue house tops all around as they're starting to take over.
They're all painted the same.
I was just going to say the same color,
same colors and the same design.
as Be Like Brit, so that everybody knows.
Right.
It's the roof too, so like when you look over, you can like see all the big bright blue roofs, and it's like cool because it's like they're kind of everywhere, so it's cool to.
That's a cross, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, all the houses have that?
Yes, they're a really religious organization, but they don't limit their parishioners to, like, you don't have to be religious to go through them. So, because we're not a religious school, so.
We'll talk a little bit about the house, Be Like Brit house home.
It was very beautiful. So it was shaped in a B, and it was just absolutely beautiful. We got to go on top of the roof every night, or whenever we wanted, and then you could just see. Like I wish I could like show you. It'd probably be a picture, but it's just so beautiful because as soon as you look out, there's water. There's a beautiful view. There's a mountain. There's everything, and beautiful sunsets and beautiful sunrises, and all these people here were just beautiful people. As soon as we walked in to Be Like Brit, they were singing. The kids were singing to us. Like some of us broke down. It was amazing.
Another thing is we were able to talk to some of the older kids who lived at Be Like Brit. I think the oldest was like 15 years old, almost 16. So he had said that he went to Be Like Brit when he was about 11 or 10 years old, and he said he was so fortunate for Be Like Brit and being able to provide him with a roof over his head, 3 meals a day, clean clothes, and education, like all these things that they would never have outside the walls or even come close to. And then he said that he got kind of frustrated with some of the younger kids who were about 5 years old because they really don't remember living outside of the walls. So they didn't really understand how fortunate they should have been and how lucky they are to be in a home like that. So it was just it was just a great thing to hear about some kids and how much they love Be Like Brit and the people who work there and everything.
So I know, like, when I went, I was thinking to myself, like, these kids have missionaries there all the time. Like, once a month, they're always meeting new people. So I remember thinking, like, we're just going to be another missionary group to them, and it's no big deal. But, like Jason was saying, like, as soon as we walked in, they were singing to us, they were hugging us, like, they were so happy that we were there. And like I was saying before, they love to learn English from us, and they love to, like, play games and, like, do tricks and pretend they don't know English that they do know. And like it's like so cool because they're just like normal kids. Like, they're running around and crazy, and they have temper tantrums, and, like, you kind of forget that, like, just because they're not as, like, lucky as we are, like, they're still kids, and they still just want to have fun and just play and just, like, be around us. They loved hanging out with us. And it was so cool because at the end of the week, I was so emotional leaving, and I didn't think I would be. And, like, even the kids were emotional seeing us leave. It was cool because I knew they had an impact on me, but I never would have thought that I would have an impact on them. Oh, is that me? Oh, okay. But they were awesome, and there's the field there is called the Field of Hope, the scene of the crime. But they play soccer 24/7. Like, I know there was one day we woke up for the sunrise, and the kids were already out there playing, and they said they had been out there since 4 in the morning playing soccer. And so it's so, like, they just are always playing, and they're so fun to be around. So, and they're really good at English too. So there was really no language barrier, well, a little bit, but.
And we took English classes with them. So yeah, so a lot of them popped into the English classes with all age levels. So everyone takes English class in the afternoon before dinner. So one of the kids was making fun of Jason, actually, about not liking school because they're all very fortunate to go to school over there. So,
Jason's mad at you for saying that.
Sorry. But even
You love school now.
yeah, of course. Even public education costs money, so it's just completely ridiculous to them that anyone would say they don't like school because it's a huge, huge, huge pleasure to go to school over there.
Like she was saying, school costs like $280, plus they have to buy uniforms and, like, everything like that to go, and, like, their education system isn't that great. I know that they don't have the same rules about, like, what is it, corporal punishment, and so, like, even their education system isn't super great, and they have to pay a fortune. The average patient gets paid $1 a day, so that's 200 days, which is almost a year of work just for 1 year of school. So, and then plus the uniforms and whatever else they need, and so they just don't have nearly as much opportunity as we do. Definitely, like I said at the last meeting, it made me appreciate my education much more. So.
Same.
A little bit about Be Like Brit and what's happening in the community there. They are the largest employer of people. Be Like Brit is the largest employer of people in Grand Guave right now. They employ hundreds of people. They probably pay them a good, not a very high wage, but they do employ people. When we were there, there must have been 30 to 40 workers around the building, just construction workers. Each child, every 3 child has a caretaker that stays with them for 24 hours a day. It's definitely eye-opening and prudent the way that the Gengels are handling this responsibility. They have 66 children. Some of them come from traumatic backgrounds. They're caring for these kids very, very well. Field of Hope is an interesting place also because underneath the Field of Hope is actually a 10,000-gallon cistern that actually drains water or has a spigot for water for anyone who wants water in the area. Water is a commodity there that is at a very, it's limited. It's a scarcity. So when you guys were talking about giving your water to the kids in the street when we were building the house, that's the only clean water they had. And as Jason spoke about during our school assembly, the big 55-gallon cut open oil drums that water was poured in so we could mix a concrete that had rust in it and had dirt in it. People were coming in and taking water out of that to use, to consume. So we were, of course, just mind-blowing around it. And I think one of the comments that the students were making, they'd have fresh water in their container, and there'd be 3 or 4 kids asking, looking at you, not asking, but looking at you. And then when you'd offered your water to them, they'd take a sip, and then they'd offer it to the next child. It wasn't something that they hoarded. It was something like, this child is just as thirsty as I am, and as they pass away. Just a simple thing, a commodity as water, as being such a scarcity was to me completely mind-blowing. I just could not believe it.
Especially being the orphanage, we had running water, and we get covered in concrete and shower twice a day sometimes. So it's crazy to be down there and thinking like we're being very spoiled on top of the hill, and everyone below us has no fresh water at all, and they're so it's crazy what the Gangles are doing by giving out so much water. But if you guys want to talk about the culture, so this was the Voodoo Temple, which was super cool to learn about. They are really passionate about voodoo. They're a super religious country, so it's pretty much split into 2. I know one of them is Catholicism. And then what's the other one?
Protestant?
No, that's Christian.
Voodoo.
Starts with an E. I don't remember what it's called. Evangelism. Yes. So they are very divided. There are 2 religions, but everyone believes in voodoo. So it's kind of like the way that we were explained. It was like kind of karma. So and it kind of connects to their religion in a weird way. Like they think that if they do good in this life, then they'll have a better life, like in their next life. So voodoo's like kind of similar. It's like the same things will be done onto you as you do to others. So they're super passionate about that. And like I know there was one instance where like Frankie, who I was talking about earlier, told us a story about when he went to the voodoo doctor and thinking that someone cursed him, and we were just like, no, like you just had an infection. But he was like, no, I was cursed. Like someone wanted my job, so they like wanted me to be hurt. They're like very passionate about it, so it was cool to learn about.
Yeah, so this here is a photo at the Mission of Hope, which is right down the street. This is also this is a school that a lot of the kids go to, and it's a nice place. They have church service here, and it's just another service place. So,
Mission of Hope was very instrumental in helping Len and Cheryl Ann get their feet on the ground. When Cheryl Ann and Len started the Be Like Brit home, the first couple homes that they built were burnt down. And there were some safety issues, safety concerns those first couple of years. Mission of Hope, which is at the base of the hill, took them in and more or less told the people of the area, we accept them and we will help them. They're evangelical. They run a very good school, and they a lot of the kids go, the Brit kids go there. It's these 2 organizations that really support this community quite well.
This school also made me grateful for my school because these rooms were 1,000,000 degrees. You step in, you start sweating. You are sweating at all every time you were there, but you can tell it was just even more because of all the body heat in there and how tight they were. They'd fit like 20 kids into like the house we built kind of like area. And like I went into a classroom to look in, like they didn't have chalk even on the chalkboard. They had the chalkboard, but there was no chalk, so I don't know how that worked, but it was just little stuff like that, the stuff they needed they didn't have, but they were still grateful for learning.
Talk about the traffic.
Yeah.
Tap.
That's awful. Yeah, so
there are absolutely no rules when driving in Haiti. So basically, you can go as fast or as slow as you want. There's no crosswalks, there's no stop signs, stop lights, anything like that.
There's one, actually, in Port-au-Prince.
Oh yeah,
Just
okay.
one.
Yeah, right where
Country.
right where it's like most busy. But so people are just kind of walking across the street like anytime they want, just hoping that they don't get hit. And like everyone travels on tap, so which is like kind of like big vans that are very, very colorful. Kind of, it's like the size of that in the background.
Sit on top of it.
Yeah, so people just sit on top, they pile in the back, they just have kids on their lap or like anything that they're carrying with them, like water, food from the shops, like that on their heads. And so people also, another way to make money, like a job there, was people would stand in the middle of the streets and sell water bottles or rolls of bread or something like that to people who are passing. And then another mode of transportation was motos, which are little motorcycles. And we've even seen some motorcycles who had about 3 kids sitting on the back of them, or like piled on laps or whatever. And that's basically how they got around everywhere, or they walked.
And there was only one main road, so like this is the road that everyone used, so it was always so busy. Like there's times like there'll be a truck right here, and there'll be another truck, and then people just try to fit right through. Like they didn't wait, they didn't have anything to do, they just went right for it. And you know how like we see trucks with wood on them and stuff like that? People would be sitting on that, like families would just be sitting on there just because they needed a ride or somewhere to go. And like it happened more than once. It was like you'd see it like every 2 minutes. You'd see like a family or a little boy sitting on a top of wood. I mean, it's so unsafe, but like that's how they had to do it to get to where they had to go. But they probably didn't even know where they had to go. They were just trying to find food or anything, find a job, find something, but there's not really much out there, so they were just trying to find some way to probably spend the day or go somewhere.
Also, on market days, which I think were Wednesdays and Saturdays, the streets, the main road was absolutely packed with people trying to get to the market to buy their food. So it was really hard to drive in the first place, but that just made it 100 times harder. So I was very impressed with our helper, Frankie. He was an amazing driver, very safe. And then same thing with Sundays. So whenever people are going to church, some people on the last day we were there, we were leaving on a Sunday, we saw people up at 4 in the morning already starting their walk to church, just because like there might be miles away to their closest church, so it would be difficult for them to get there. But so yeah, the streets were just always packed with people and cars and everything. It was very dangerous.
And also on the streets there would be concrete because people would start to try to build a house, but they didn't have enough money or resources to finish the house, so the concrete would be right in the middle of the road. So it would make the road smaller as well, so it was harder to drive and made it more compact.
What about the excursions now outside, up the mountains?
Got it. So something that was like really impactful for me, and I'm sure everyone else here, this was the day that we went for a hike. Actually, this was a different day, but the last picture was when we went for a hike. And we went to the riverbed and then climbed up the mountain back up to the road. And I remember being so hot and so sweaty and so exhausted. And this was like towards the end of the week, so like I was even more tired. And I just remember seeing like little kids carrying gallons and gallons and gallons of water on their head, barefooted, walking up this mountain, like going right past us as if it was nothing. And like it just puts it back into perspective. Like I can walk to the bubbler and get water, but like these kids have to go all the way down this mountain, go to the riverbed, go to like the puddles that were in the riverbed, and then climb all the way back up to the mountain to get back to the main road, and then like whatever their walk home would be, all barefoot, all with like carrying gallons of water.
Sorry to interrupt you, but the water wasn't sanitary. This is the water they used to I don't know, to go to the bathroom in, to shower in, all this stuff. All their animals were in it. It was they probably don't even know they have to boil their water to be sanitary. So they were just drinking the water straight because that's the only thing that they could do. So it was all very bad water.
And also in Haiti, they have no trash system. So I remember on the ride coming back from the airport when we were getting there, it was like absolutely mind-blowing to me because just on the sides of the road were trash, like piles and piles and piles of trash, and then there'd be burning trash. And then I remember there was one place where there was like a canal kind of thing, and on one end was like a family drinking water from it, and on the other end was like burning piles of plastic, and like all like the same water, the same area, and like they know what's going on, but they don't understand that it's wrong, and like that it's just so bad for them. But and I know that like I was talking to Frankie about this. The child mortality rate is really high there, but if you can get through your childhood and get to like 15 or 16, you're pretty much set, because your immune system is just like insane, because you're eating so much bacteria and so much like horrible things that like if you can withstand going through being so sick for so long, then you can pretty much survive anything. So like at the market, their meat, it was like a picnic table with just like an animal carcass, and then they would be like, what part do you want? And then they would just cut it and give it to you. Like there was no salt preservation, no ice, nothing. It was just like pretty much like an axe and like an animal. And like that was their meat, and then they would cook it and eat it, and it was just like nothing to them.
And also on the market, like it wasn't like any buildings, it was tarps with holes in them. And it was so hot in that market. It's probably the hottest I've ever been. Because, I don't know, maybe the sun was beating on the tarps that made it even worse, and there was way more bodies in that one area. Because like say this is my space, there'd be one right there, and it's a small little square. Like probably 4 of these little circles was that like their shop, like they would sell you something right there.
That was like their livelihood, was like that little tarp of like clothing or meat or vegetables that they would grow, and like that was the only source of money that they had, and it was twice a week, and that was it.
And everyone would compete with each other. This person would sell onions, and then the person right next to them is selling onions. So like it was like it's hard for everyone to get money when there's not a lot of money going around.
And you have to pay to have a spot there.
Yeah.
So like you make money, and then chances are you're probably paying to make more money to pay them, and then it's just like this cycle of you're really not getting any money. So, and it was beautiful, as you can see. Like there were some really pretty parts, like the beach was beautiful. And then it was so much fun. We went with all the kids, and it was just insane and amazing. That's not so beautiful,
but that's the reality of it. And theirs was like whole towns like this. This is only like a couple houses. You see that I don't even remember seeing. Like
I know. I was just looking at that like
where that come from.
When we were coming on our way in, like 30 minutes into the drive, we were kind of like a little bit elevated, and we had like a view over like this place. Like I can't like, you know what a shanty town is? Like it was like worse than a shanty town. Like the tarps were ruined. The metal had holes in it, and it wasn't even metal. It was like tin foil.
And this is like a pretty big house.
Yeah.
Like that's. Yeah. Most of them were like, I remember I saw one of them that was like a car hood that was just like leaning up against like a stick, and that was what like 4 people were like living under. It was just like crazy to see. And flying into Miami and then flying into Port-au-Prince, it was like looking out the window, you know how you can like see when you're about to fly in. It's like absolutely insane. It just looks like
mountains.
It's just like the trash kind of. Like, and it's like people's homes. It's insane. And that's like a wealthy part too, Port-au-Prince.
Like that's what they would drink. And like we witnessed people drink that. See, he has a jug, like he's gonna get water for his family. And I can only imagine how old he is, and that's like his job. And I'm just so grateful for my life after seeing all of this.
Yeah, why don't we talk about impacts then? You know, just a couple pictures of trash and stuff. Why don't we talk about impacts? What did you learn from the trip?
Okay, well, I kind of learned, I learned a lot, but one thing that like really hit me was that, like we kept repeating tonight, it was such a struggle for anything like food or any kind of water. And even when we were in Be Like Brit at the orphanage, like really cold, like low water pressure showers were a luxury to everyone else, even though that was like really not that great for us. So to come back home to like a hot, full shower and a big meal on the table or whatever was really like heartbreaking, and it was like hard to like grasp that like idea behind it. Like you don't know if you should be like thankful for everything and like can eat it all and take an hour in the shower after seeing that, or like no, I don't need it. Like they live like this every day. I don't want to do stuff like that. So I kind of struggled with that when I got home, and also just like to really appreciate not only your material stuff but your friends and family, because it was so hot there. So they didn't, if they had a home or any kind of a home, they wouldn't really be there that much because it would be so hot underneath the tarps or the roofs or anything. So they would go to little, I think they're called
Chez Totos.
Chez Toto places, where just like a little shack where people went and kind of just hung out with their friends, and I think some of them had TVs to watch like to watch like a soccer or listen to a soccer game. So just like to really appreciate my friends and family, instead of locking myself in my room, and like just to get out there more and do more for everyone.
This trip changed me more than I realized or expected it to, in a really big way. I can't really pinpoint one thing because I took so much away from this trip, and I'm so grateful for all of you guys to accept it on how you did, because I was sitting there hoping that you guys would accept it. Me and Elizabeth were here, and we were just like, please accept this, and you guys did, and I'm beyond grateful for that. So you guys will always be in my heart. So I have so many. So the biggest one to me is I sit up here. I sit up here with shoes on, pants on, a shirt on, and I sit up here, and I know people out there have no shoes, no anything, and you just sit here and think like what you can do. And I've already started going back to help my community, not just trying to go other places to help. I've been thinking about my future and how I'm going to help people in the future. Like I've been looking in, I just researched the other day, Doctors with No Borders, because I want to go in the medical field, and I think I would like to help other people while I'm doing it. So it really has changed me, and I'm really grateful for the experience you guys allowed us to have.
Just for perspective on what he said, on one of the last days we were there, a grown man tried taking my shoes because I was carrying like wet sneakers because we just got back from the beach, and there was like a whole kind of like a little fight between some of our helpers, and this grown man just trying, like he wouldn't even fit into them anyway, but because he didn't have any, he was like just begging for my sneakers. So it was kind of really emotional.
Hopefully you caught that, sorry. Anyway, so just like what Jason's saying, there's absolutely no way to pinpoint anything. There's just too many emotions that I felt on the trip. And I think maybe I can best reflect how I was affected when I came back to the United States. I think the first thing I noticed when I came back to the U.S. is, just seeing the scenery. You'd be surprised how quickly you get acclimated to the culture there, especially without cell phone access or anything. It's really like complete immersion in the culture. So when I got back, I was just driving around the town, just seeing for example, the banks in town with their fancy glass doors. And is that necessary? I kept asking myself, do you really need? It's so wasteful to just spend money on making things look nice. There's so many better things that can be done with the money, and I think that people really need to realize that there's a plurality of people in the world. We're not just isolated from them. We see them in photos and pictures, but they actually exist. We're in the same time zone as them right now. It's probably where we were. There's dogs barking, there's people eating food, and there's people with empty stomachs. It's very real, and they just happen to be a little far away for us to understand that.
For me, there was obviously a lot of things. Like last time I was here, I couldn't pinpoint one. I picked 3, but there's hundreds of them, and I'm learning something new every single day. Wow, and then reflecting back, everything makes me think about it. But I think for me, just one of the hardest things, probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do, was at the end of the week saying goodbye to the kids at the work site. Because those were kids, the kids at Be Like Brit, we knew that they were going to be taken care of, that they would have food and water and shelter and a safe place to go. But when we left the kids at the work site, I didn't know if they were going to have another meal or another sip of clean water for the rest of their life. I could have been the first sip of clean water and their last. And so not knowing if they even have parents or a family or a roof to go under, that was absolutely heartbreaking. And these kids are so happy. And every day they would run up to us and be so excited we were there to see them. And looking at them and needing to say goodbye to them was the hardest thing I've ever done, because I knew I was gonna fly home to my mom, to my family, and have a home and have people that love me and care about me and food, and leaving them with nothing was just absolutely heartbreaking. And so I guess it just made me so thankful for the people that I have here that are taking care of me, and I'm just thankful for everything that I have. You don't realize how much you have, and people are still unhappy. Those people have nothing, and they're still the happiest people I've ever met. You always have someone smiling at you, waving, even if they don't know you, and even if they can't even speak the same language. Everyone's going out of their way to make each other happy, and they're so happy with the little that they have, and it just makes me so grateful with everything that I have, and I'm like, I just need to appreciate this so much more. And so.
Thank you very much. That was very nice.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Some questions?
You've answered a lot of the questions.
Just, yeah, a few things. So I'm going to tell you guys that when you came, when you asked us to support this trip, I was a little worried about the amount of money that it was going to take to get you guys there. I was definitely concerned. I was concerned about your safety, because where you were going is not necessarily the safest place, not just because of what happens in Haiti, but for natural occurrences like the earthquake. So, but hearing you guys come back here and tell us how this affected you, how it impacted you, what you learned from it, and hopefully what you'll always take from it. I have a feeling if I said to all of you right now, if we voted right now to say you could go again, I have no doubt in my mind that you would be on a plane.
Right. No, absolutely. I told Dr. Lazat today the school's not going back unless I'm on that plane too.
So that tells me that we as a committee made the right decision. I also hope that you're sharing this with your classmates, because one of the things that I think we all need to be reminded of is that we live a pretty luxurious life compared to a lot of people. And there are a lot of things to be grateful for, school included. And even though it might not be your favorite thing, I think you probably appreciate it a whole lot more, right?
Yes.
And I think that all of you probably learned some extremely valuable lessons that some grown adults probably haven't learned yet. And one of them is just to simply be grateful and to be kind and to help where you can and give what you can, because sometimes something small is something great to someone else. So you guys, I think, gave something amazing, and I think you all received that in return. You should be extremely proud, and I know that we are extremely proud and extremely grateful to you, sir, for all the work that you did, and I feel that we need to do this trip again simply so you can get your
Yes. We should just take a vote now.
So thank you guys, really, truly. Thank you for coming back and sharing it with us, because I have a feeling that you all sharing this, we're going to have a lot of kids interested the next time. And you guys were the pioneers. Yeah. So I think that in the future there will be a lot of kids that want to get on this trip. So,
sure.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say a couple things.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Reed.
That's okay.
I wasn't thinking.
First of all, I did a little editorial on this
Yes.
in the banner, and hopefully if you get a chance to read it, it was more of a thank you to both you, Dr. Lazat and Jen Crozier, for taking time and going down with the kids and keeping them safe. You didn't keep him safe, but
we tried though. We were like, I don't know if we can keep up.
They're fast. They're fast
They
on
are.
the soccer field.
and I hope that we can make this a tradition in some form and have more kids go back, like the young lady that we saw earlier today in the middle school who was so giving. I just thought of her and said, boy, she'd be a good fit for this. Thank you guys for going down and just being wonderful for West Boylston. We were the first public school.
Yes.
So that's
That's something to say.
Yes.
So I just wanted to talk about, actually part of that too. I mean, think about the leadership here involved with hatching the idea, saying that I want to do this, I want to raise the money to do this, I want to experience this, right? So I want to have this transformational experience, and then I want to come share it with you. The easy part was saying, getting past all of those concerns, right? So the easy part was, we've got a group of fully engaged folks here that said, I want to change the world. And I'm from the small community. I'm from West Boylston, Massachusetts, and I'm going to change the world. How cool is that, right? Yeah. So that doesn't happen without you. It doesn't happen without the vision, without the leadership. and frankly, the community, because you didn't just come up with the money yourselves, right? So you worked for it. So, sitting here, looking at this, just imagining the experience that you folks had, I'm very proud to be talking to this group of young folks here, knowing that, you've already changed the world. What else are you going to do, right? So, congratulations, folks.
Thank you. Jason, you have anything you want to add?
No, I just, again, I can reiterate what the entire board has said. I just think this is an amazing experience. It's life-changing, and you guys are all testament to that. And we need to do this again.
I agree.
I agree. And let some of us come back.
So I'll keep it simple and just basically to echo what everybody else is saying is, we too are all volunteers up here. We all give to various charities and youth organizations, and you truly are an inspiration for everybody, youth like yourself and adults, and it's really encouraging to see, what the future of this country has with people like yourselves who are already willing to give. And like Jay said, you worked hard to be able to give. That's, pretty impressive. So.
Job well done.
Put this on your college resume.
Absolutely, thank you.
This brings us to the, I'm sorry?
No, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm totally not. I didn't know it was there, but Elizabeth said she'll send it to me. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Miss Peppy, you remember these kids in 5th grade? It's quite a transformation, huh?
All right. This brings us to the community input section of the agenda. Is there any community input?
Hearing none.
Hearing none. All right. We'll move on to the warrants. We have 2 payable warrants dated May 1st and May 15th that need to come home. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the payables warrants dated May 1st and May 15th, 2017.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And next we have 2 payroll warrants dated April 21st and May 5th. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion for the approval of payroll warrants dated April 21st, 2017, and May 5th, 2017.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And now we'll move to subcommittee reports. We'll start with policy.
Included in your packets are policies, revised policies D, E, and F. So I'd like to make a motion to vote to approve the first reading of these policies.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Is there any, can you go through, I know this is a revisal of all of them in the section, any major changes?
Yeah, the only change, actually, the only substantial change to these policies is the policy on busing. The previous version of it listed the streets at which there would be stops, and we don't do it that way anymore.
Okay.
Right now, we have our bus company generate the list of stops based on participation, so we didn't really want that in there. The other pretty unsubstantial change, but it was a change, was policy DB has listed the dates that we use for budgeting purposes, and those dates on the previous version were not accurate to the way that we do our business now, so this reflects the way we do it now.
Will those dates ever vary or shift based on the calendar, or are these kind of?
No, I mean, I think they're, they have to be done at these times, so I think this is pretty much what it is. And really, I gave the window here of all of February for the public hearing, to set the public hearing. Actually, that should say March. I don't know how that, it should say March. Can we change that right now?
Sure.
It should be in March. And then we do the final approval of the budget just before town meeting, whenever that is scheduled. So that, if we change that to March, so you'll have to, somebody will have to amend, make a motion to amend.
I'd like to make a motion to amend policy DB to reflect, you need me to be as specific as
No.
item 5?
Just to
To
amend
change
the
committee
amendments, yeah.
meeting, public hearing as required by law from February to March.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
And you have to vote the amendment too.
That's the amendment we were
that
just
was-
voting.
That was the amendment? Okay.
We just voted the
Okay,
amendment just now, yeah.
Thank
Now
you.
we have to
Okay,
vote.
good.
Now we're going to
Thank
vote
you.
the whole thing.
All those in favor of voting the original motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. No, I was going to ask. So. Okay. Next, we have a budget subcommittee report. This is
It's just the vote.
It's just a vote on
the,
our budget, the current budget that we had.
to vote the FY18 school budget.
Yeah.
You get a motion?
Make a motion to accept to approve the FY18 school budget.
Can you read it as it's listed? Just
To approve the total FY18 budget request of $12,986,776 and to request $11,690,750 in appropriation from the town of West Boylston.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
That hasn't changed, right? since
Has not
last time?
changed, no.
Okay.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we have a item to establish an ad hoc subcommittee for transportation.
Yes, please. I have several items that require attention, and I would like the school committee's ear on these items. All of them have to do with transportation. The first is to entertain bids for new vans, new buses. We'd like a committee to watch over how we purchase those. The next is to talk and think with me about hiring a part-time person on a temporary basis to help us with the transportation issues that arise at the start of the school year regarding changing bus stops, parent complaints about bus stops, just things that require immediate attention and a quick turnaround. It's hard to have us do that in the office when school's starting because it's really busy. So we'd like to get somebody in that's competent to be able to handle all of that and just basically get it done in a day so that we're not having people wait. The third issue that we would like an ad hoc subcommittee to look at is the issue of our bus fees, specifically potentially changing our bus fee, but allowing people who pay by a certain date to have the old bus fee. We don't really want to impose a penalty, but
Like a discount.
we'd like to give a discount to people who pay by a certain date. But in order to do that, we might need to look at the structure of the bus fees. So I would just like to review that with some committee members and, run it by, I just ran it by the policy subcommittee tonight, but I'd like to run it by an ad hoc subcommittee and come to this committee with a recommendation in June. So, yeah.
Do you have anybody in mind?
I do not. I was actually hoping that somebody might really love to talk with me about this.
I will do it.
Thank you.
The only thing I would change in that request
Yeah.
is I truly believe the vans should still stay
Budget.
under the Budget and Capital Expenditure
Yeah.
Committee because that's a capital expenditure and
Yeah.
really that should be overseen by that subcommittee.
I agree. Likewise, I would say the transportation is part of policy, but I'd also like it to just have a group that's specifically looking at those things, and then also the other committees that are the set committees.
Okay.
Just kind of dovetailing, and this is a way for us to get more people's eyes on it, and maybe a little bit of a more fine-tuned approach for both of those things. But I agree with
Okay.
you about the budget subcommittee also. Yeah.
You want 2 members?
Yeah, and let me just lay out a little bit. I mean, I'd like 2 members who are willing to meet basically 2 times between now and the June meeting, just to flesh all this out. So it's 2 meetings between now and the June meeting. Yeah.
I'll give you.
Thanks, Rick.
Anybody else interested? Sure. Okay.
Thank you very much, Jay.
We need
2 is great.
motion for
I don't think so.
Okay.
You can, if you want, you sure can make a motion if you want to appoint those members to an ad hoc subcommittee. I don't know that it's required by the vote, but it's good to do that.
Yeah, maybe if we could, just to.
Make a motion to allow Mr. Shaw and Mr. Morrissey to serve as an ad hoc subcommittee for transportation.
Take a second.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and now we are on to communication report. Mr. Maha?
Next Thursday, we will have our final literacy night. This is a series of 3 literacy nights that we've had throughout the winter and spring. Grade 5 will have a living wax museum in the gym, and grade 3 will host parents in their individual classrooms for an overview of the writing initiative that they've been undertaking throughout the last 2 years. Enclosed, I did put the field day dates and the fun run booster-a-thon times on June 9th. The booster-a-thon people will present to staff during Monday's faculty meeting in terms of initiatives and some building-wide incentives that they're hoping to utilize. One of them is tends to be the way with these type of things, some form of public humiliation for the principal. So I'm trying to devise the least humiliating way to be publicly humiliated on June 9th. So I'll let you know on that one. The building scheduling committee has worked throughout the year. I did present their suggested changes to the schedule to school council last week. Really, though, the building schedule will remain untouched in the morning, and then we're tweaking some times with the lunches. The lunches will remain 30 minutes. The younger children do need that time to eat, to get used to the trays, the rhythm of the cafeteria, etc. The older students do not. 30 minutes is a long time to sit there. They're done eating in generally 10 to 15 minutes. So with the goal of this, once I sit down and look at coverage, is to have the 4th and 5th grade, when they're done eating, be able to, if they so desire, to walk to the sidewalk, to the playground on their own, with coverage out there on the playground awaiting them. But as Allison from the middle school mentioned, now she's in 8th grade still, the transition over here with the increased freedom is startling for some of these guys. And I don't think if expectations are laid out firmly that it's not beyond the reach of 4th and 5th grade students to walk 100 steps to a playground. So that would give them an increased recess time as well. We broke up the schedule a little bit for 3rd grade, who's really been packed. Their specials, lunch, and recesses have all been in the earlier part of the day, so they've had a much longer stretch of academic time in the afternoon, and it's proven a little problematic with that age group. So we're hoping that these changes do relieve some of that and give some individuals a little more increased time outside and alleviate some of the low level of tension that might exist with the older kids when they're done eating with nothing to do for 15 minutes. So we'll keep you posted on that. We began grade 5 math MCAS today. This is a long testing season this year as the state gave us a larger window. So grade 5, 4, and 3 will finish up math 2-day sessions, and then we'll have grade 5 science, and we'll have these shipped out by the end of the month. And field trips are getting underway shortly, as is the case with every building. Once MCAS is done, there's really something going on every day, whether it's enrichment activities, field trips, etc. So every place is very busy this time of year. Edwards is no exception. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting, you were just discussing the changing of the lunch schedules or the recess schedules. I've been on the committee almost 10 years, and I know I've gone through this. This will be the 3rd time where they've made adjustments to the recess schedule. Either it was in the morning and then we went up to the afternoon, and I'd be curious I wish we had that research to say, hey, what did we do 10 years ago? What did we do 6 years ago? And what are we doing now to see if are we going back to the old way? You know, I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
I can't remember.
The scheduled recess time for each grade, with the exception of kindergarten, who go out twice a day, is 15 minutes. But in actuality, by the time they get outside, it's really about 8 minutes. You know. 10,
oh yeah,
10 minutes.
Absolutely.
So I'm with you. I know that these things evolve, and I'm curious to see if they take and if it does work. with everybody, I do believe it's a rare thing there's consensus with staff. This has been put out to staff. They did all really collectively wish that their recess was later in the day and separated from their lunch.
Interesting.
So, we'll see how it goes. It'll be a one-year thing, and then we'll
Well,
assess from there.
You assess it. I'm just bringing up a subject that's.
I'm curious as well.
Anybody else? Mr. Fournier?
Thank you. So, the students that went on our Haiti trip did some fantastic assemblies for our whole school. They met with the entire middle school and a separate assembly for the high school to talk about the impact that this trip had. They did a fantastic job, and I'm very proud of their work from start to finish. We had a motivational speaker in last week, a gentleman named Josh Dreen. This was presented to us, and we're grateful to the PTA for sponsoring this. Josh is a graduate student at Harvard. He travels the country and talks about positive change, standing up for what's right, working together, ending bullying, and leadership and school spirit. The students were very moved by this assembly, and it was just another example of planting seeds of positivity and standing by what is right, and I'm very grateful to the PTA for providing us with that. The theme at the high school this past week, and will be for the next couple of weeks, is the march toward graduation. A speech I delivered to the class last week was that this is a time for you to come together as a class to help one another and show your leadership qualities to the rest of the school. The students look up to you, and they're looking to you, for example. So we're marching through AP exams, final exams, beginning, commencement, and graduation practices, and they look forward to their senior night, their class trip, and baccalaureate and graduation in the coming weeks. We're very excited for the Burgertown performance that opens this Friday and Saturday. Tickets are on sale in our main office or at the door. Should be a lot of fun, and we hope that you'll come with your families. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? All right. Mrs. Trainer? All right. Thank you.
I'll report.
But I'll pass my-
You're going to take his minutes? You don't want to take his minutes?
No, I'm giving to Mrs. Shepherd. She has his stuff.
I do have his stuff.
All right.
Yeah, you have an expenditure report for this month, and we're about 97% expended. We're looking to finish the year strong and with no issues, no fiscal issues that should come up.
Okay. You want to just go right into it?
Sure. Oh, and then my report, I have just a few simple things, your typical information, attendance, suspension information, teacher attendance. And I did also want to report on just three brief things. The first is that we held our charrette for the schools on April 29th. We had a small crowd, but a very engaged crowd that worked with Rocky Blunt to come up with consensus answering to two questions, which were what must a quality West Boylston education include, and what could the West Boylston Public Schools do that would delight students, parents, and the community. We came up with a list of five priorities in each of those areas. Those are being fleshed out by the Strategic Planning Committee, which is holding 2 meetings in May. We held one already. The second one is May 22nd. After those 2 meetings, a draft plan will be brought to the school committee for June, and hopefully after that June meeting, it will be the final strategic plan document will be brought for a little bit more talk and discussion at our August retreat meeting. So we're on target to get the strategic plan done to be ready for the coming school year. The second thing that I want to report to you, it has to do with, for me and Chris and Rich, it has to do with the evaluations that we do of all of our staff, but for you, this has to do with your evaluation of me. As you know, in the past few years, the state has required that you give me a rating for my impact on student learning, and that's been a separate category that you've rated me on. On February 28th, the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education voted to amend those regulations so that you won't be doing that anymore. Now you'll be considering my impact on student learning as part of standard number 2, which is teaching and learning. So it's just one less data point that's on your evaluation document for me. I did give you the commissioner's memo because he gives a nice summary of the background of, you know, why did we start giving the student impact rating in the first place, and then what happened to it along the way, and why is it gone now. I think that the entire education community is much more satisfied with this model that embeds that as part of the teaching and learning standard rather than as a separate rating, and he does reflect that in his notes. I'd be happy to take any questions that you all have about that at any time. The third thing that I want to bring up here and just ask you to please call to our attention, we do like to give at the June meeting Volunteer of the Year awards. We have so many people in this community that give so much to our schools in every way, shape, and form that we like to recognize those people. On a night when we don't have any students to recognize, we try to recognize members of the community who've done great work for us. So I would invite you to offer me any nominations you'd like for that. We would like to recognize some people on the evening of the June meeting. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have anything else for Dr. Schapper? No? All right, then we'll move on to school committee updates. We'll start with Mr. Thomaselli.
I'm really happy to be part of the charrette that we had on April 29th, Saturday. To see the community involvement, and sure, it'd be nice to have a couple more people there, but the people that were there were engaged. The communication was fantastic. Everybody respected each other's views. There's a lot of listening, and it was difficult because we all have these hopes and dreams for our children in the community, and to, you know, the process of narrowing it down to come up with these final you know, thinking points. It was a challenge, but it was the whole process was really rewarding. It really was. And I know everybody left there happy. We left kind of invigorated and really just, you know, wanting this process to kind of to see where it's going to lead and to see what we can do to help it get to that point, the points that we're talking about. So it was phenomenal.
Thank you.
Just one quick thing. The Rotary is going to recognize our Interact group next Thursday night at 6 o'clock at the Manor, where they will be kind of inducted into as a group throughout the world, actually. And so it's at the Manor at 6 o'clock to 7:30. You're more than welcome to come if you're interested, just to be there. The parents are, we have a group of about 35 of the kids and parents, as well as the Rotarians, so it will be a nice little get-together for them, for our school.
Okay, nothing? Mrs. B? Nothing? I am all set as well. With that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.